Welcome back. In this video, we're going to implement this little radio button here at the top, and you can see that it's very customized. So we have a custom radio button. We have, in general, a very customized appearance here. Also, the color of the text changes based on which one of the two options is active. And we're going to check out how to build all of this. I'm going to just go through the code that I used for it so that you can use it for your own projects in the future as well. The general idea is that you will need to create some XML code. We're basically using a radio group here with two radio buttons. Okay, so this really depends on what you want to have. You can only have one radio button active within a radio group. So in this case, only one of the two buttons can be active. And the idea is that we can then swap the layout that is displayed underneath it here. In the metric units, we want to have the kilograms, and in the US units, we want to have, I think, pounds it is. So we're going to see how to implement that later on, but for now we're going to focus on this radio group here with the radio buttons here. So let's check out those radio buttons and drawbles that we're going to use. So we have this drawable units tab selector, and this is just a selector which has one item in it that has a rectangular shape with a solid background. That is our green color and a corner radius of 30 density pixels, because if you look at it, this is quite a rounded corner radius that we have here. Okay, so that's the one drawable that we're going to need. Then the units tab color selector. So here I have a selector as well, and you can see that we're using two different items. Okay, one item for the state checked being true, which makes it white, and the other one which makes it gray. So you see this color here. So we're going to use this selector for our text here. You can see that the text of the radio buttons is changing depending on whether the radio button is checked true, so the state is checked, or not checked. Okay, so this is what we're going to use for those. And then we have this radio group tab background, which is a rectangular shape. We have this solid color, which is a rather white color with a little bit of gray. We have this gray stroke with a width of 0.5. You see this stroke around it, which is this line around our radio group here. And then the corners are having a radius of 30 dp, which just creates this situation right here, you see? So it's rounded. That's what we get with that. Okay, and now we can use it in our XML, in our layout XML to be precise, the one activity BMI. And here, what I'm doing is I'm using a radio group. Okay, so this radio group has inside of it two radio buttons. So let's look at the radio group first. First of all, this radio group is going to have an ID, RG units. It matches parent in terms of width and wraps content in terms of height. It's underneath our toolbar BMI active, which is this toolbar here. Then we have a margin of 10 density pixels, a background of particularly this drawable that we just created. So this drawable radio group tab background. So we're just saying how this radio group should look like with the background here. And it's oriented horizontally because you see they are next to each other, not on top of each other. So you can have radio buttons that are on top of each other, but in our case, our radio group is going to have them horizontally. So now let's look at the individual radio buttons. I'm going to give the radio button an RB metric units, RB standing for radio button. Then a layered width of 0 density pixels, a height of 35, a weight of 0.5, which will make sure that it's taking half of the available space for the radio group. So it has half of the weight, and this one also has half of the weight. So you could have also given them both a weight of 1. It would have worked the same way. As long as both of them have the same weight, so both radio buttons, they will have the same width and same size, so to speak. Then for the background, I'm using this drawable that we created, which is containing this selector with one item that has a rectangular shape, a corner, and is green. So you see it's this background shape that we're defining for it. The button itself is set to null. We're setting that one as true, gravitating it towards the center, saying that the text of this button should be metric units, which you can see here. And the text color is using this color here, which now you can see we don't even have to do any state management directly in Kotlin code. We are doing it in XML specifically. So we're saying here that we want this color, so the text color here for our radio button, to be based on its state. So is it true? Is it checked? Then use white color. Is it unchecked? Then use gray color. So that's really powerful. Here you see we don't have to create an on-click listener in Kotlin for this to work. Okay, of course we will need to also make sure that the right linear layout and so forth underneath is visible, but other than that it's fine. So by the way, we should change this to be underneath the radio group units. So this text input layout should be underneath the radio group RG units. Otherwise the design will be a little mixed up, and if it's underneath it will be fine. So now the second radio button is basically the same thing as the first one, with the only difference being US units as the text is being set. So the text size is 16 and the style is bold in both of the examples here. Okay, now we can run this code and we will see that this already does the same functionality here without having written any code in Kotlin, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go over to the BMI calculator. We see we now have this option here and it works as intended. Okay, so that's it for this video. See you in the next one, where we're going to add the US view elements.